Welcome back. You're watching Overdrive. Now, the Honda XL 750 Transalp might just look like a scaled down version of the CRF 1000L, but the spec sheet suggests otherwise. So, let's find out what this motorcycle can or cannot do.
Now, when Honda came out with the XL 750 Transalp, like many of you, I was really stoked because just look at it. It looks like a baby Africa twin, right? But then again, a closer inspection of the spec sheet revealed that it's not going to be really on par with the CRF 1100L, which is the Africa twin, on sheer capability alone. And that left a big question mark looming above what this motorcycle is actually capable of doing. The XL 750 Transalp looks absolutely brilliant. Okay, not so much so in this dark color, but in the white paint scheme with the red and blue streaks and those gold rims, man, it looks drop dead gorgeous in my opinion. It looks proportionate, not too big, but not overly imposing either, fitting for a mid-size multi-cylinder ADV bike. Now, although some might find this one to look rather simple, well, the features list that this bike houses says otherwise. Now, the Transalp comes with a 5-inch TFT screen that it shares with the Honda NX 500, but this one, well, it has a lot of more information for you to configure and read out on the go. Now, you have 4 themes, you have 4 ride modes, you have settings of engine power, engine braking, traction control, ABS, and there's one ride mode where you can configure all that and personalize it to your riding style and liking. The lovely thing about the Transalp screen is that the display is crisp and all the important information that you want to be shown is laid out clearly. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of buttons for you to fiddle and toy around with on this motorcycle, but then again, the actual layout of the buttons takes some getting used to because some of the switchgear is a bit oddly positioned. That might take a bit of time to get accustomed to. What won't, however, is the actual bike itself, because it's just so easy, comfortable and well balanced. Now, yes, the seat height of the Transalp is tall, but once you're actually on board, it feels like one of those motorcycles where you're seated within rather than on it. And as you can see, the rider triangle very upright and the padding keeps things nice and comfortable. One of the highlights of this motorcycle is how well balanced it feels. Whether you're riding fast, you're riding slow, braking hard, standing, sitting, well, it just allows you to see the obstacle in front, react to it and get past it with a calculated precision. Honda have really mastered the center of gravity with this one. It doesn't feel top heavy when you tip it over, and that on its own allows you to really feel a great connection with this bike at all times, at least when you're riding it. And when you're not riding it, even walking this 208 kg stock bike around isn't a big task. But the best part about this motorcycle, it has to be the 755cc twin-cylinder engine. Now, it's one of the new parallel twin engines from Honda, and it's the same one that powers the latest Hornet 750 elsewhere in the world. So, you definitely know that this one has got some sting. Now, the 755cc liquid-cooled parallel twin that powers the Transalp is a real treat because it makes a good amount of power. That's around a little over 91 PS of max power, 75 Nm of max torque, and being a 270-degree crank, well, it makes most of that power in the mid and top end of the spectrum, but there is a decent amount of grunt low down the power band as well. Acceleration is smooth off the line and the clutch is nice and light, which is great for the city. And once the roads open up a bit and you dive into the mid-range, well, that's when you'll have yourself a big old bag of fun. Power build-up to the mid-range is fairly good, and after that, this motor just wants to spread its wings and take flight. Great fun if you fancy yourself a brisk ride. You can even hear nice clicks each time you work the gearbox, and it gives you this nice crisp feeling overall. The parallel twin engine is just so linear in its delivery. There are no surprising spikes in power, so it isn't a task when you throw the hammer down at any point. When you're riding off-road too, there's more than enough power on tap to light your eyes up with glee. But although you have a good amount of travel at both ends, you have 200 mm at the front wheel and 190 at the rear, well, the suspension can bottom out quite easily if you're making new trails and happen to make a mistake. And remember, that protective bash plate you see on there, that's not standard fit. Now let's just say that I was really happy that it was on there this time around. So, after my short stint with the bike, I found the XL 750 Transalp to be a simply brilliant on-road machine, but sadly, not so much so of it, at least in the stock form. It feels like a thorough long-distance tourer that will take you pretty much anywhere you want to go, as long as the terrain isn't overly challenging. Now to sum things up out here with the Honda Transalp. First and foremost, let me reiterate by saying that the Transalp is no baby Africa twin, because this is more of an adventure tourer rather than a full-blown ADV bike. Now, this comes to India as a CBU, much like the NX500, so it isn't going to come cheap. 11 lakhs ex-showroom, and that too just for the bare bones bike. The current setup, what you see out here, which is the wind fairing, the knuckle guards, the engine guards, bash plate, and even that center stand, they're all additional extras. So this whole setup, the additional extra setup, will set you back by around 1.8 lakh rupees, so not really cheap out there. So definitely in terms of sheer value, well, this motorcycle takes a step back. But then again, there are going to be a certain amount of people that are going to really fancy this one for obviously the aesthetic, the comfort levels, that stonk of an engine, the features, and the whole dynamic of it all. Honda fans especially. So if you can afford it, it is a really nice motorcycle.
Well, it's time for us to take our final break here on the show, but coming up on the other side, we'll tell you all about the long wheelbase version of the BMW 5 Series that's going to launch pretty soon in the country.